So, before we start today, I need to let you know that this is in fact not the first video from this series, but in fact the last if everything goes right. I have to point this out because it turns out that Kent is so utterly stupid, so thick-headed and broken-brained, he literally covers the exact same set of text twice in like 30 minutes. And because this is a series I am making on the video that he made about me, well, you can see why I might be concerned that I could have destroyed this man's brain with my sheer handsome correctness. So again, not the first, the last in this series, clearing up his final failed attacks on me, some of his audience's comments, and his continued scientific illiteracy. It's going to be fun on the bun.
Sir Sic is an idiot of the highest order. I'm assuming he wrote this himself. It's the beginning of his channel. You know, it's nice of you to admit it, Sir Sic. I mean, that takes a lot of courage. Thank you for being brave enough to admit you're an idiot.
Well, plethora! That means a lot, although not coming from you, since not only do you still not understand the purpose of my intro blurb, that being a setting of tone and expectation, you also don't get that it's effectively a little something we like to call intellectual honesty. I know that I'm not an expert, and I would never claim to be. You, on the other hand, well, let's just say that neither the words intellectual or honesty could ever apply to you.
Cannot be held responsible for any completely unintended learning of the things that you might do, and should never be used as a source of any information whatsoever, because as stated, he's dumb. Bingo. You nailed it right at the beginning.
Do you want to know the most hilarious thing about you doing this segment for a second time? It's how during the previous videos you have been absolutely dunked on by my good self. So if I'm dumb, and yet I can style on you like an absolute legend, the fuck does that say about you, Kent? Nothing good. I'll tell you that for free.
If you have a problem with anything I have to say or the information presented, please feel free to correct my stupids. Okay? Anytime. However, if you just don't like it, well, that's not that I don't like it. You're teaching something that's dumb. Evolution is dumb.
I would argue that I quite explicitly stated that what I am doing is not teaching by any measure. I did, however, repeatedly refute a bunch of idiotic nonsense that you have claimed over and over and over again. So if your conclusion from all those clearly wrong things you said is that evolution is dumb, I think every person alive with a half-functional brain could surmise that evolution is in fact not dumb, but a fact about reality that is robustly supported by the science. And would you look at that? It absolutely is. And you're a moron.
Sir Sic, the scientific idiot. I don't know who he is. Keeps the helmet on all the time. Like that gives him some kind of bravery, you know, hide behind a helmet.
I imagine I've probably already pointed this out, but this here is not a real helmet. It's a cartoon helmet. If you take it off, there's nothing hiding under there at all. But even if it were a real one, and I was quote-unquote hiding, so fucking what, Kent? Does it change the fact that I'm right and you're a dumbass? No. And it certainly doesn't make me more or less likely to say the shit that I say to you, because it's just me saying things that accurately reflect reality. And if it's supposed to be some kind of threat, not to be an internet tough guy about it, but I would say every last thing that I have ever said to you or about you directly to your face, and I promise you, as a 6'3" dude whose mum lovingly refers to as built like a brick shithouse, I'm not particularly worried about what a geriatric tax cheat is going to do about it.
Some of you hide behind your keyboard. Yeah, you're real brave in your comments, aren't you?
Again, what has this got to do with bravery? This is literally the internet, and under a video is a comment section. Exactly how else are they supposed to engage with you, Kent? Send you a fucking postcard? Glad you're not here. Absolutely no love from everybody on the planet. I will never understand this viewpoint. A face, a name, an address, or your fucking social security number. None of these things have any impact on how correct someone is or their right to criticize pretty much anything. And the fact that you guys always bring it up demonstrates that you have so little of substance. You need to bring up utterly irrelevant points so that you just sound like you maybe have something worthwhile to say. Keep it up. It makes you look terrible.
We'll call for a debate. Okay, let me have a few comments here and let's quit, brother. What do you got?
Quick one, this is just going to be his commenters. Don't worry, we're well past him failing to refute any of my audience. And Kent, call for as many debates as you like. My stance is clear. No one should debate Kent. Not because he's right, but because it's what he wants. Because he knows how to engage in such abundant dishonesty that he can win without ever uttering a single factual statement against an unprepared opponent. Why do you think he's so desperate for names and faces? Because that's live face-to-face shit. But he can never win if you have time and space to spot where he's pulling bullshit. So he hates it when people use a format that can do exactly that. Keep it up, it'll drive him crazier than he already is.
Let's see. I think it's funny you Google evidence for evolution, scroll down the embryology section. It says gill slits in development. They're still using that, Joshua. That was proven wrong in 1874.
Was it? Because I don't think it was. Now, I know a fella by the name of Haeckel had a theory about gill slits that was wrong way back when, but it was proven wrong, get this right, by other scientists, presumably not by creationist dipshits. The actual concept today is about pharyngeal arches / pouches that do develop into gill slits on fish, but instead develop into ear bones on mammals. But the fact that they both have pharyngeal boys during embryonic development is the exact kind of thing that we would expect if evolution were true. What's the need for that if God just makes shit the way he wants it to be? It's weird that he keeps doing stuff that makes it look like he didn't need to be there at all.
1874, proven wrong. For those that may not know about that, let me go here. Embryology. Is it on this page? See if you see it on there for me. Embryology. This is my hyperlink page. It goes to some of the, here we go. Embryo gill slits, right there. Does embryology prove evolution? Embryo is the baby growing inside the mother, and to kill it is murder. Okay? My humble opinion.
Yeah, you're right. Abortion is wrong. You can't make a sandwich with a fetus. You gotta get that thing to term before you can make a decent meal out of it. We agree, Kent. And yes, comparative embryology is in fact great evidence for evolution. The problem you're having is you're stuck on this fucking ancient idea one guy had about it that turned out to be wrong. But the thing is, we don't base modern science on old debunked shit. This isn't creationism. The modern forms are often far removed from any kind of beginnings. It's the same reason why when you constantly bring up Darwin, as if everything taught about evolution is exclusively from On Origin, when, while incredibly important, essentially none of it is what we teach today wholesale. And the fact that you don't seem to know that says a lot more about you than it does about the validity of evolution.
Humans and fish embryos resemble each other because humans and fish share a common ancestor, this book says. Really? Okay. Darwin considered this embryology idea the best evidence for his theory, because it came out about 5 years after his book came out.
See, I told you. And no one gives a shit about what Darwin thought about things that ended up being wrong. They care about the things he was right about. And again, not in a, well, that's the only thing we can say about it ever, and more in recognizing a pioneer way. Pioneers sailed the world in flimsy wooden boats and died of scurvy. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get in a plane if you want to visit another country, dumbass. Also, notice that it says nothing about gill slits specifically. Humans and fish do not have gills as embryos, but they do have very similar appearances. Again, a completely unnecessary thing for an all-power boy to do, but a very expected thing for a process like evolution to hum-de-hum.
Haeckel called it the biogenetic law. They have gills like a fish. This is a lie. Those little folds of skin on the embryo growing inside the mother develop into bones in the ear and glands in the throat. They never have anything to do with breathing. Nothing.
You're skipping the interesting bit, which, FYI, is one of the reasons I find creationists so baffling. You have all this fascinating and, correct explanations for things. And these clods think that God did it. Now that's the intellectually inspiring explanation. I guess if it's the only one you can comprehend, where anything more than 3 words will shatter your tiny mind. But again, yeah, the pharyngeal arches develop into the ear bones in humans, and the pharyngeal arches develop into gill slits on fish, meaning that they both have pharyngeal arches, you dumb f***. That's the important bit that you accidentally left out because it makes you look like an Egypt.
I've seen some fat folks that got 5 or 6 chins. They can't breathe through any of them but the top one.
What has any of this got to do with Yo Mama? And she ain't breathing through that top one either, because she's way busy doing something else with it. Hey, don't be crude. I meant the fine, upstanding tradition of good, wholesome oral sex. Of course, this was all a joke. I would imagine she's dead. Lucky her with a son like you. Fuck me.
Haeckel said the turning point in his thinking was when he read Darwin's book. Haeckel loved evolution because it got rid of God. He didn't want God in his life.
I seriously doubt that's why he did it. I mean, you fucks always say that the only reason anyone ever does anything that contradicts the Bible is because it contradicts the Bible. But everything that comports with reality does that, so where do you even start? But sure, even if that was true, the motive for believing something doesn't make it factually accurate or not. It just makes it the motive. It can be a good motive, it can be a bad motive. That doesn't change reality around it. Although, if bad motivation did make things super wrong, it would explain you and the non-existence of God.
So Haeckel he was an embryology teacher. He taught how animals develop inside the mother back in the 1850s, okay? What little they knew about it. Here's a dog embryo at 4 weeks and a human embryo at 4 weeks along in development. Dogs have 78 chromosomes, humans have 46.
So dogs have more chromosomes. I always knew they were better than humans. What the fuck has that got to do with whether or not they have common ancestors? I have no idea though. We would only expect them to be identical in every way if they had literally the exact same ancestor. But then they would be the exact same species. Well, okay, there is another way they could be as different as dogs and humans whilst having the exact same everything. If God did it and used magic to make it that way. Science and reality be damned. Weird that he didn't do that.
First trimester, what happens as the woman grows? Let's see. When it's 4 weeks along, it's the size of a poppy seed. When it's 5 weeks along, it's the size of a sesame seed, then a lentil, then a grape, then a kumquat. Okay? Baby is the size of a poppy seed. Your pregnancy might be detectable in a week. Haeckel changed the drawings and faked them. Increased the size of the head, decreased the size of the head of the man. He faked the drawings and made them look alike. Eye details were changed. Posterior length was doubled.
Well, I thought I'd just ignore all that poppy seed shit. It's a whole load of who gives a crap. Doesn't do anything to disprove evolution either, and is nothing to do with your actual point. You would think that since it's obviously such a banger, you might want to fucking get to it. Unfortunately, it isn't. It's a whole lot of irrelevant nothing. Okay, the guy changed a bunch of the scales, probably to make it more clear what the similarities are. But the scales were actually different, and he was heavily criticized at the time for it. But the thing is, the similarities are still fucking there. Again, not to mention all the additional evidence and similarities that can't be captured in a drawing. Things that make perfect sense in that thing that you think is fake, and none in that thing that you seem to think is not stupid nonsense. Funny that.
He doctored the drawings of a dog and human, and this was in his book, The History of Creation. He's a liar, okay?
What's the old saying? Takes one to know one. The difference is, presumably our guy here didn't trust people to understand the similarities between a dog and a human embryo, so he exaggerated those things that are still very much similarities. Not great, shouldn't have done that, but your lies are straight up fabrications of reality. Yet that's not really the same thing, mate.
On top are the actual photographs, what they should look like. Underneath is his fake drawings. Haeckel made charts of his drawings, saying, oh, look at this. All these creatures, the dog, the kangaroo, the duck, the turtle, they all look alike at the embryo. No, they don't. On top are his drawings. Underneath are actual photographs somebody did back in the 1998.
See, what you've ended up doing here is accidentally proved the point the guy was likely trying to make. Yeah, those all have differences, but those differences are accentuated by the fact that they have a bunch of similarities they all share. This one might have a big belly, and this one might look like H.R. Geiger's nightmare, but all of them are sort of long, tadpole-like critters with a distinct head, a distinct tail, a backbone, and that's just the really, really obvious shit. Again, I'll bet they all have pharyngeal arches. They are all bilaterally symmetrical, which means, by the way, that I had to look up how to spell bilateral. Ironically, by trying to prove how wrong the guy was, but without acknowledging and explaining the similarities that everyone can see, you have ended up demonstrating he was right. Good job.
Haeckel's drawings on top, anywhere from 25 to 104 chromosomes. 14 chromosomes, 56, 78, 44. Humans have 46. He lied. Would you guys stop using embryology as evidence for evolution?
The chromosomes are again irrelevant. Having external differences, you would expect internal ones too. And frankly, one guy's fuck up does not nullify the factual accuracy of well over 100 years of science being done properly. The only lie that matters in this interaction is you pretending that all never happened. No one but you guys gives a shit about this one dude anymore. Because to you, one tiny crack in the armor means the entire thing has to be thrown away, even though the armor is modular and the cracked piece has been in the bin for literal fucking decades, while the rest of his near impenetrable mass is standing there gleaming in the sunlight. But instead you're digging through trash and then stabbing that little piece over and over again with a pen and declaring victory.
I know you don't want to stop, because then you're going to say, oh no, we don't have any good evidence, do we? Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. Do you think that embryology is the only evidence for evolution? Bruh, I knew you were ignorant of the science, but I didn't realize you knew absolutely fucking nothing about it. We got molecular genetics. There's the whole fucking fossil record. The fact that there are obvious patterns in biogeography that only make sense if evolution is true. And the simple and obvious fact that we have literally, and I have said that so many fucking times today, and it's always appropriate, goddammit, observed evolution. And that's just for starters. Not to mention the sheer fact that we will find more and more and more things that you will be less and less able to flat out deny, until the only people who believe anything like creationism are utter morons. Oh, yeah, right.
To cover that video number 4, what I'm sharing right here, you watch my video for it. Biogenetic law is dead as a doornail. There have been lots of articles written about this. Haeckel's, embryos, images, evolution, and fraud. Yep. It's fraud. He didn't. It's a lie. So stop using embryos. Good comment. Thank you there, Joshua.
Nah, fuck you, Joshua. It was a shit comment made by an idiot that demonstrates that you people are completely incapable of honestly looking at the actual evidence and are instead perfectly content to simply look for one random bit of fuckery that was in fact debunked by the very science you claim to be refuting yourselves, not recognizing the fact that the science has examined and rejected that thing decades and decades and decades ago as the overwhelming display of strength that these ideas have. If it weren't so fucking easy to find out the actual facts about all these things instead of constantly diving into comfortable lies, I might pity him. But instead he just drives me to drink. Thank God.
Tell get my video number 4, get one of your teachers teaching that stuff and say, teacher, would you please stop teaching this? If they won't, go to the school board and say, look, we got a lie in our textbook. I'd like it removed. If you were in a math class and found a book that said 2 + 2 is 5, what would you do? Whatever steps you would take to get it corrected, do the same with this embryo stuff. Get it out of the book.
Except that the textbooks simply don't teach what you claim they do. They teach the actual, accurate, modern science. You're just lying to these people. And your whole claim of, oh, no, I don't want creationism to be taught in school from earlier in this very series is shown to be the disingenuous nonsense that it is when you want accurate science removed because of something that isn't even in it by people who will definitely then attempt to replace it with your nonsense. If you were any more full of shit, Kent, I would use you to grow fucking tomatoes.
Okay? Go ahead. Even the best pictures of mermaids you see children's books, mermaids don't even have gills. I don't know if I use a children's book for evolution for evidence like that, but a good, interesting point, okay?
Wow, you know, considering the number of banger points made earlier in this series by commenters from my video, the fact that he immediately had to go to someone making a really shit point about a mythological creature is damning of his audience. I mean, we already knew they were brainless, but this just seals it.
Okay, even a mermaid picture? Okay, let's see. Can you believe Cambridge University is still teaching embryos?
For a smarter man, the fact that such a universally respected institution continues to use evidence that you think isn't real would give them pause to say, maybe I'm not understanding something about this. But not you, Ken. Your overwhelming stupidity/dishonesty protects you from all manner of self-correction.
Let's see. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, tomorrow night and Friday night, Lord willing, we'll have more comments on comments, questions and answers. You can set your questions in. We'll try to get to them if we can. Thank you so much. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. Come see the Noah's Ark we're building. It's amazing. And if you can pour concrete, come tomorrow morning. We got 7 yards of concrete coming. So we got to flatten it out. See you then. Later. Bye.
And that's it. And is he trying to steal the Ark encounter? Well, okay, as hilarious as that is, I think I'll pass. I have seen enough of your dumb face in these videos to last me 1,000 years. And if you ever respond to my videos again, for God's non-existent sake, bring your fucking A game next time, please. What? This was his A game? Ah, shit. Bye!